Shabbat Shalom. So I had one of these peak moments this week that we think only happened to other people, but never to us. I went to the 12-12-12 concert. I thought I would kind of sneak out so that no one would know that I went. But my cover was blown as soon as I entered Madison Square Garden and began meeting congregants. That evening, it was like a dream. First, of course, because it was for a good cause. Some of the leaders of the Robin Hood Foundation are members of our synagogue, the Stephen Wise Synagogue. So through the years, I've had opportunities to hear from them and their great work. Our synagogue recently contributed Hurricane Relief Fund to the Robin Hood Foundation. And then it was the music, those rock stars, all on stage at the same place on the same evening, the music of my youth and the rock stars of my youth. Mick Jagger, who, legend goes, has been kicked out of my alma mater, the London School of Economics, some years before I arrived, for throwing chairs down from the roof onto pedestrians, and the students were still talking about it when I arrived in the early 80s. The Who, Roger Waters, Billy Joel, Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Eric Clapton, it was like a dream. And I'll tell you a secret, if you promise not to tell anyone else. From time to time, when my wife and I are alone, somewhere on a mountain in midsummer and listening to a Pink Floyd CD, I say wistfully to her, you know, I have a midsummer night's dream that if I had several lives to live, I might devote one of them to being a rock star. Her response is consistent. Yeah, dream on. But when I was a teenager, having already played classical music for 10 years, I would sit and jam with my friends, playing the music of Billy Joel and thinking, you know, if Billy Joel can do it. And when Billy Joel played on Wednesday night, I remembered those teenage testosterone-infused jam sessions all those years ago and realized again, like in most things in my life, my wife is right. As the Talmud states, if your wife is shorter than you, bend down and listen to her. Those guys on stage are so talented that even now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, they are the ruling monarchs of rock and roll. The notion that all these decades later they would be still strutting and strolling on stage would have been considered a fantastical dream in the 70s when I was growing up. Although, truthfully, Roger Daltrey's bare chest is not what it used to be. And the crowd at the Garden, so many of them were of my generation, grayer on the top, softer in the middle, heavier in the wallet. They were swaying to the beat, no doubt, like me, remembering the fantasies of their youth and dreaming of what might have been. Young and old were there. And these old-time rock stars were appealing to the youth as much as to their parents and grandparents. But truthfully, those middle-aged executives dancing around the Garden looked about as attractive as Roger Daltrey's bare chest. And like that is probably something that is best not exhibited too much in public. The youngsters, they too were enthralled by the musicians, but I knew that I was no longer of that generation when Kanye West took the stage. I can't understand that hip-hop music, but the 20-somethings around us, the louder the music was and the more incomprehensible were the words, the more they seemed to enjoy it. It was then that I realized that I was not of them anymore. Think of it, if Roger Waters from Pink Floyd was now considered tame music, in comparison to Kanye West, I shudder to think what popular music will look like 20 years from now. It was all like a dream. I recorded as much as I could on my iPhone. The battery was practically down to zero. I was so pleased with myself. History on my iPhone that by chance I just purchased a few months ago when I finally succumbed to the realities of modern technology. I couldn't wait to get home to see what I recorded, only to learn that none of it actually recorded. Did you know that red button on the bottom of the screen has to be turned off for the iPhones to record? As long as that red button is not touched, the iPhone will not record. The concert was so dreamlike that since Wednesday, I've been reflecting on the nature of our dreams. Dreams are a big theme in this week's Torah portion. Joseph's dreams of stardom are about to come true. He is about to become the brightest star in the Egyptian sky. Everyone will soon come to pay homage to the legend, just as he dreamt all those years ago. Joseph has two central characteristics. First, he is a dreamer, and he dreams of big things. He tells his brothers about his dreams of being a star. He tells them of his enormous talents, especially in comparison to them, and that one day he will reach the big stage, and everyone will bow down to him, including them. Joseph's brothers respond as all siblings would respond to such a brother. They tried to kill him. But in the end, they threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. But second, not only does Joseph dream big dreams for himself, he also has a unique capacity to interpret his own and other people's dreams. And in this week's Torah portion, he interprets Pharaoh's dreams in such a way so as to make his own dreams come true. Dream and dream interpretation. These are important elements in life. It's important to have big dreams. We should all have dreams of maximizing ourselves and doing what gives us so much pleasure. Why shouldn't a teenage pianist dream of playing like Billy Joel one day and be encouraged to pursue his dreams? We should not seek to diminish those dreams, not in our children and not in ourselves. Even now, there are still moments in my life, even now, when I ponder to myself, what am I going to do when I grow up? Dreams keep us going. It's not envy of others. It's not greed. It's ambition, fulfillment, and meaning and purpose in life. We are such stuffs as dreams are made on, and our little lives are rounded with sleep. So let us dream big dreams and be productive and satisfied with ourselves. It will not last forever. We have only one life to live. As sweet as it was to see the stars on stage, there was also a twinge of bittersweet that I am sure, like me, many concert goers felt, especially those who were my age. This will not last for all that much longer. It is what gave special poignancy to the concert. Those rock stars, like the days of our youth, are advancing. Mick Jagger is 69 years old, although he doesn't dance like a 69-year-old. And more, there comes a point in our lives when we must also interpret our dreams. And in the interpretation, we must be honest with ourselves. At some point, we must recognize the difference between our piano playing and that of Billy Joel. How we interpret our dreams will determine how we live. The Talmud contains a profound statement. Rabbi Levi said, we learn from Joseph that one should wait as long as 22 years for a good dream to come true. Rabbi Levi was referring to the biblical chronology. The Bible tells us that Joseph became the viceroy of Egypt at age 30, and 9 years later, after 7 years of plenty and 2 years of famine, Joseph's brothers came to buy food. Since he dreamt of this very moment when he was 17, it means that 22 years had transpired until the dream came true. That's often how long it takes to assess our dreams, 2 decades or more. If it is a good dream, a worthy dream, then it's hard. And if it is hard, it takes a long time to realize. And sometimes, often, perhaps usually, our specific dreams don't come true. I have met many an office worker and a restaurant waiter whose dreams of stage stardom never came true. But the Talmud adds one more amazing thought. Dreams are fulfilled according to their interpretation. In other words, how we interpret our dreams, the act of interpreting what we were meant to do itself shapes what we become. If we do not dream dreams of excellence, we will never wake up happy or fulfilled. But how we interpret those dreams will in turn shape who we are. The dream of making history for someone who is not as talented a performer as Bruce Springsteen can be realized through the interpretation we give to it. If our dream focused only on ourselves, and that everyone should bow down to us because we are so talented, and this is the sum total of our dreams, then I bet that even Bruce Springsteen himself will tire of this after a while, just the adulation. But if the interpretation we give to our dreams is to impact positively on other people, to give pleasure, and to provide happiness and enjoyment, to make a difference in the world, to move people with our thoughts and our words and our songs, if this is our interpretation, we can still realize this dream. While for so much of Joseph's dreams were simply, so much of his life, his dreams were simply self-centered. I want to be a rock star and have everyone sway to my music. Ultimately, 22 years later, Joseph realizes that in fact this was not his dream at all. His dream was not only about himself, it extended beyond himself. His dream was connected to a bigger cause, his family, his people, and all people. It was similar to our own greatest dreamer. Martin Luther King taught us, I have a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. It's when our personal dreams are interpreted by us to be deeply rooted in other people's dreams that we can truly say that our dreams have come true, according to the interpretation that I give it. If our dreams are bad dreams, if they are rooted simply in being famous or notorious, if they are interpreted by us as license to give harm to others, they can become nightmares for ourselves and for others. When Joseph realized that his personal dreams were the vehicle through which other people could realize their dreams, then he could say, in fact, my dreams have come true. May we have good dreams. May these dreams come true. And may we know joy for us, for our neighbors' children, and the world entire. Amen.